but you're not going to read this anyplace, what I'm going to tell you right now. Because to be perfectly honest, CES 2023, it sucked this year. They really, really dropped the ball. I mean, the definition, CES stands for Consumer Electronics Show. It's where consumers have fun trying out the latest tech gadgets that are going to be launched for the entire year. And this is an entertaining conference. You have everybody there reporting on it, sharing videos through social media. They promote that. I go to healthcare conferences. I go to mining conferences. Sometimes they don't like that. A lot of times they don't like, could I have an interview? No way. You're not taping this, are you? They just have their little booth, or they'll go up there and do a presentation and read off the slideshow. That's it. No. That's not the Consumer Electronics Show. You get to sample everything. You get to have fun. They want the media there. They close down booths for me so I can go over all their products. Bring my video guy with me, just having fun. 3 of us down there this year. Trying to cover as much as I can. But it was not fun this year. And many reasons why. And you can start right from the beginning where they had a theme. The theme of the Consumer Electronics Show was human security for all. That was the theme. What is fun about that? It's like going to the Daytona 500 and hear the roaring of the engines just before the race. And when it starts, the drivers are not allowed to go past 75 miles per hour. That's what it's like. You get all this buzz and excitement, and then you're like, whoa, where is it? But human security for all, that's your theme? I mean, has human security and fun ever been in the same sentence together? Ever? And that was the first thing right off the bat. And then it's the green technologies. And I said this in 2022, last year's event. And you look at these green technologies and how you take whatever, filthy, dirty water, purify it, reverse osmosis, heat it, cool it, and shake it all around and put in this big machine that needs to be built in a factory that costs $100 million to make. And these things aren't going to generate profits for, 2045? But they're allowed to operate this way because they're using taxpayer dollars. All this stuff, right? They're explaining all this stuff. It's going to turn filthy, dirty crap water into water that doesn't taste good, but you're going to be able to drink it. So we need this. We need to understand how we use paper straws, which is great for the environment, but absolutely sucks for everyone and anyone who likes to use straws. And I'm not killing the environment here. I'm not saying that. I'm not, whatever. The climate change people are I'm not totally overboard and crazy. You get craziness on both sides. You have nothing to worry about at all, and this is all fake and bullshit. And then you have the other people, you got to put all your money into it. The world's going to end. We're going to be underwater in a couple of years. There's a big middle between that. I know it's for the environment, but this is not fun. It's not fun learning about the process of making a really cool product we all use and changing it into something that's shit now. At least the experience is. Our water bottles don't even stand up anymore. Our washing machines don't last past 4 years because all those green, saving, crazy components they use. And my first washing machine when I was a kid, I think we had for over 20 years. It shook the whole house when it was on, and you probably get your finger chopped off during the spin cycle. It was like 80 miles per hour, but it cleaned everything. I can't tell you how many washing machines I've been through. In the past 10 years, 3 of them. I'm not kidding you, 3 of them. But presenting your green initiatives at the Consumer Electronics Show? It's like going to the circus and taking your kids there, and they make an announcement that instead of having the trapeze, the clowns, the lions, we're going to watch a video on how to keep the animals safe. Imagine that? No, that's not what you go to circus for. It's not what you go for the CES for. It's supposed to be fun. Green technology is not fun. That's why every booth that had these green technology being displayed were empty. Nobody cared. Then they have a CEO come in. They have all these seats and they were empty. Nobody was even listening to them. The places to display these technologies, the Goldman Sachs Global and Clean Energy Conference, which was going on the same week. That's where you go. That's the audience for that, and that's cool. But not the CES, not the Consumer Electronics Show. That's not what you go there for. Somebody's going to spend millions on these booths to get the people there. And I can't tell you. It's unbelievable how they have these massive setups, the lights, everything. It has to be more than $1 million. When you just went to a conference, a metaverse conference, it costs the same place for TCG, who had it at the convention center. And I told them, I said, why have it in a convention center? Have it in a hotel. They didn't know better. They were coming from overseas. It was like $5,000 for a carpet, another $3,000 to get internet. I mean, look at these things, $1 million setups. You want people there. That's what it's for. Taking pictures, having fun, going over everything, seeing your pictures. It's free publicity. It's the greatest marketing conference in the world. And then when I look at celebrities, and pre-COVID, 2020, everyone showed up to CES. You had Alicia Keys, Michael Phelps, WWE legends, Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, LL Cool J, Ludacris, and Snoop Dogg post-CES parties performing. I did hear Snoop Dogg did perform at an Amazon after party this year. And Amazon had this massive booth as well, which was basically all about Alexa and voice recognition technology, stuff you've been talking about for 6-7 years, and they were actually in the auto section again. Massive booth, but again, not fun stuff, not even from Amazon. The after party is probably cool if you work at Amazon. But getting back to celebrities, there was hardly any. Some old school football pros, Barry Sanders, Marshall Faulk, and Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham's on my top 3 lists. The reason why I'm an Eagles fan, if you follow me at Twitter, I posted a picture there. I mean, he's in top 3. The Randall, you have Danny Manning, which I got a picture with my daughter, which is great. And went to the Kansas Championship last year, NCAA Championship, when they won. And Michael Jordan, those are my top 3. So I was like a little starstruck. And my wife just bought me an authentic jersey, Randall Cunningham, because I'm never going to buy a jersey for a current player since they leave teams all the time in any sport. So I told him, I tried to one day it there and I couldn't get it there. And I told him about it. He's gave me an address to send it to, and he's going to sign it to me. That's how cool he was, Randall Cunningham. What a great guy. It's awesome. That was a good experience. But getting back to celebrities, they had Martha Stewart there for 5 minutes and ran away. This hologram thing, which was actually a pretty cool booth. Mario Andretti, who I managed to get an autograph only because I went down the wrong aisle, and he was there signing stuff. I mean, no display or anything. I was like, whoa, that's Mario Andretti. And, he was really cool, and I just got there. There was no line or anything for him. But other than that, there weren't really celebrities anywhere. And when they were buried in just small areas where you had to get lucky to find them. And last year, Sony, Sony, Samsung, LG always have the biggest booths, and they always have this massive presentation that they do. And it's the media presentation, the launch event. And it's huge. They take out these huge theaters and everything. So I went to Sony, and that was the day before the conference opened. Last year, Tom Holland came out, had great seats, came out, Spider-Man. It's awesome, people going crazy. Right, that was last year's media event. This year, they didn't have any celebrities. Didn't have any celebrities. Look at Intel every year when you walk into the South Hall. That is massive display. Massive. They didn't show up this year. Intel wasn't there. Isn't that weird? This is the first year that I think Intel wasn't there. I mean, pre-COVID, they were one of the largest booths all the time. They weren't there this year. Can't blame them. I mean, you got NVIDIA and AMD eating their lunch. But still, they had a pretty good release. The new generation chip, as all these companies release their new versions of the chips. But even better, when you're looking at the CES as a whole, the South Hall was closed. So you have the North Hall, you have the South Hall, and now they opened the West Hall, right? That's all at the convention center, and CES takes place in a lot of different hotels. Venetian, which is a disaster. The Venetian's a disaster. Getting there and getting back, the tram doesn't go there. Getting car service is terrible. You got to walk through the entire Venetian hotel to get there because sometimes it's blocked off in the back area where the expo is. I mean, it's just a horrible venue, and this year was worse than ever. But when you go to convention center, they have these 3 halls, and they just opened up the West, which hosts a lot of the auto companies. But when you come off the tram, you almost go right to the south. You're walking, across the street, and the South Hall is right there. they closed the South Hall. And this is where all the biggest booths were. All of them. It was the best. And massive companies like Qualcomm, streaming companies, Alibaba, JD, Tencent, Baidu. A lot of these companies didn't show up. I guess you could expect that from the China companies and technology companies. It was expected because, given the recent travel restrictions Biden just placed on China residents coming to the U.S. due to COVID, which I thought was a xenophobic thing to do. That was xenophobic. Terrible that he did that. It's exactly what Trump said when Trump imposed those restrictions on China, right? Which was early February 2020, 1 month before everything got really crazy in the U.S. Remember, they ripped them apart for that? But you're allowed to do it now. It's okay. No problem. And it was a smart move, right? It's spraying like crazy in China. We just kind of poke and phone it, the way politics work. Call someone a racist and then you turn around and do the same thing. Don't worry. I know if you're a Democrat, you're like, oh, if you, Frank, I'm a Republican. Both sides do the same shit. Just poking fun at it, having fun, stirring you guys up a little. But then going to the West Hall was interesting because you have to take the Hyperloop there, which goes in the car in a little tunnel, which is cool, but it's a pain in the ass if you have like media equipment and you got to go up and down an escalator. They got thrown in the car and it's like a mile and a half, whatever, to the West Hall if they take you through this big tunnel. It's cool if you haven't done it, but that's where they had the media room. I mean, you had this massive, the North Wall and South are huge. The South is closed. I can't believe the South is closed. I couldn't believe it, that part of the conference was closed. There's just so many people cut back. Then you have sports companies like Nike, Under Armour, right? All displaying their latest sports tech. Stuff that you're wearing that tracks you and wearables and all this stuff. Fitness companies everywhere where you get to sample all new treadmills, row machines, get to climb these obstacle courses where they set up. We're playing ping pong against a robot the past 2 years. This year, nothing. None of that. Nike, Under Armour, not there. I mean, I like shooting basketballs. They have this, courts set up in the middle of the conference. That's how big it is. It's huge. We have these basketballs tracking your technology and keeping score and hundreds of people watching. You're shooting threes and having contests and stuff. Baseball cages, again, tracking your stats and hockey, but none of that was there this year. None of it. You had esport companies having live events, music blasting. In gaming in general, that's a big part of it, gaming. We used to have these little treadmills you're walking on with the VR glasses, and they had those everywhere, and they had a lot of glass displays, which I was disappointed in. Like, I think the future, if you're going to have just glasses and not like the big headsets for VR, AR, whatever, they have to look exactly like your glasses. That's where we're going. That is going to replace the smartphone. It will. And I think it's going to happen sooner than later. I think it's going to happen within 5 years. People saying 10 years. It's going to happen sooner. Sooner than 10 years. But nothing was even close to that. Some of the stuff that we sampled, they didn't work. These glasses. You put them on and they didn't work. And so, partners came and he tried 3 different times with one company and all 3 of them didn't work. How are you getting a booth for that much money at CES and your product doesn't work? But there was a very little presence when it came to gaming. There was some, but they used to have these massive events where you hear music and bass and everyone's like wearing these VR sets and these screens being displayed where people playing against each other. A lot of fun. I remember NBA used to be there, so the NBA on TNT. Barkley, Shaq, Kevin Smith. You had all these hosts on there. It was awesome. They came around, signed autographs, but they were doing their live broadcast. That's Kenny Smith, sorry. Live broadcast. Kenny Smith and my brother played against the basketball at Malloy. At TNT, where they had like a double header and they would broadcast live from there and they're talking. It was like really cool. They had that to CES. They didn't have it. No way. Never again. It would probably be a good idea to showcase a lot of this stuff in front of 4,000 media representatives and over 100,000 consumers who attended. I remember pre-COVID, 2020, I believe it was, they jumped in a large pool of water that was set up in the middle of the conference floor. It's a massive pool. I was sampling this Sea-Doo product, which is underwater engine that goes 4 miles per hour. 4 miles per hour is very, very fast underwater. Believe it or not. I had to wear a wetsuit when I did. It looked like an oversized fat penguin with hundreds of people watching me. But it was awesome. I jumped right in. It was entertaining. I love it so much. I bought the product, which was $900. I got it set. We still use it. My kids still use it around the pool. It's great. You take it in the ocean. It just takes you right down. Hold on to it. You could hook up your cameras to it, take pictures. It has lights. It's unbelievable. Not this year.